Hello, good morning. Welcome to class number 2. We'll start in a couple minutes. So last night, first class worked really well. I was quite pleased with that. I think everybody was, so that was good. That was a relief. Okay, we're set up. Microphone is good to go. Yeah, last night worked really well. I learned a couple things. First learning is that I'm using my front-facing camera so that I can still see the screen. So my lefts and rights are backwards. So if you're watching me, even if you're thinking, oh well, she's mirroring me, I'm not. I'm actually mirroring you and then mirroring you again. So it looks like when I say right, it looks like I'm moving my left. So I'm gonna do the same thing again this morning, and I'm just gonna say my lefts and rights, and then you guys can leave me some comments and let me know if it's going to be easier for me to flip that in my mind, because when I teach in classes, I'm usually facing you anyways, so I am I'm really easy to say left when I'm using my right, so you guys can let me know if that's going to be easier for you to follow along with. But I think apart from that, last night went really well. For class this morning, as I said in the description, it's 45 minutes this morning. We're going to start in just a second. 45 minutes, and it's going to be pretty similar to last night. There's just a few things that have been taken out, a few things that have kind of been smushed together. And that's kind of what I'm going to do for today. Tonight when I do the 5 o'clock class, that's another hour class, and that's a level 2, so that's going to be a little bit harder. But I'm again going to take the same basic flow and just add a few things in, make it a little faster, make it a bit more challenging. Tomorrow morning, still not fully decided what I'm going to do with class tomorrow morning. It's going to be a 60-minute class at 11. And it might be a level 1 to 2 with like level 2 options in it. So I think that's where we're going to go tomorrow morning. And I think that's it. Okay, so as I said last night, if you have questions or anything, pop them in, and I won't get to them during the class, but at the end of it, I'll hang around and I'll answer them for you if they're there. Okay, so here we go. So you're going to start in child's pose, just as we did last night. Also, we have really amazing bright blue weather, bright blue sky and clear weather this morning in Glasgow, and sun is coming straight into my living room, so I might squint and be a little bit blind for a little bit of this. Just ignore my face, you're probably doing that already. But again, apologies if that happens. Child's pose, please. So knees to the mat, big toes touch behind you, hips back towards the heels, and then the forehead drops towards the mat in front of you. Again, just adjust this posture for yourself. Knees can be wide or they can be close together. Arms can be stretched out in front or they can be somewhere back by your sides. And just taking a few deep breaths to start. Just feeling the opening of the body, that expansion through your rib cage. And then finding some release on the exhales. There might be some softening in the shoulders and the neck. You might find that your hips release a little further back. And take just 5 more breaths here, still continuing the inhales and exhales, starting to track the breath through the nose if it's not already, and if it's possible to do so. Letting the inhales continue to expand, and the exhales creating a bit of power, contracting the belly, slightly closing the back of your throat. got a couple more breaths. Just hang out where you are. Join in when you're ready. And when you are ready, you're coming up into tabletop position. Lifting the shoulders up over your wrists, and your knees will come underneath your hips. Taking a second to spread the fingers, making sure the knuckles of your index fingers are pressing into the mat. They're staying grounded. Take a breath here. And on your next inhale, cow tilt. Drop the belly, lift your chest, gaze comes up. Exhale, cat's tilt around the spine. Engaging the belly as you lift. And back into cow. Inhale, belly drops, chest lifts, opening the chest by rolling the shoulders back. Exhale, round, push through the hands, spread the shoulder blades above you. 3 more of those. Your breath might be moving at a slightly different pace to mine. That's absolutely fine. Let your body move at the same pace of your breath. The inhales are opening breaths, and the exhales are closing breaths. Let's take one more, finishing your 5th. And once your exhale is complete, come back to neutral on the inhale. Gazes down between the hands. Keep the fingers spreading. Keep the knuckles grounded. And just shift the shoulders forwards a little bit. Seeing if you can get a little stretch through the backs of your wrists, through the backs of your forearms. And then come back, letting that release. Same thing again, shifting forwards. Again, knuckles are pressing down. And then back. And just one more like that, shifting forwards. And then back again. Now from here, keep the weight in your knuckles. Keep the fingers spreading. And see if you can lift your wrist up off of the mat, getting a little stretch through the backs of the fingers. And then with control, set the wrist back down. Again, push through the knuckles to lift your wrist. And then set them back down. One more. Push down to lift. And then release. Hands to the mat. Go ahead, have a seat back on your heels and just shake that out a little bit. It's morning. Your hands probably haven't done very much this morning other than make breakfast. So you want to wake up the wrist a little bit before we start to put a huge amount of weight into them. Go ahead, come back forwards into a tabletop position. And then when you're ready, setting up the hands, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Engage your belly to lift the hips, pushing back through the chest. Knees can stay bent here. Reaching through the chest, reaching back through the hips. Take a deep breath. And then come forwards into plank. Inhale, shift the body forwards. Now where your shoulders want to be over your wrists, if your hips are still really high, just lengthen your stance a little bit so the hips are in line with the body. And then back again to down dog. Exhale, reach through the chest. The legs again might bend. They might start to straighten out if it feels good and if you're able to keep a long spine as you do so. Same thing again, coming into plank. Inhale, shift forwards. Making sure your pelvis is tucked under just a little bit so your lower back is neutral. It's not collapsing to the mat. And then back, down dog. Exhale. Once more. Inhale, forwards. Knuckles pressing down. Belly is lifted. Legs are strong. Downward face. Exhale. And then take a little bend of the knees if it's not there already. Use small steps as you walk your feet to the top of the mat between the hands. All the way forwards. Leave your feet separated a couple inches. Leave your knees bent a little bit and just relax the upper body. If it feels nice, grab your elbows. Otherwise, just leave the arms hanging. And you can find some movement here if it feels good. The head maybe shaking a bit. The upper body maybe swaying. Again, it's the morning, so just whatever your body's in need of. Take a little bit of ease and movement here for a couple more breaths. And then come back to stillness. Release the arms if they're bound. Keep your knees bent and slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, letting the head be the very last thing to lift. Once you're there, your feet can heel-toe towards one another. Big toes might touch, they might not. Arms reach down by your sides. Deep breath through the nose. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, arms down by your sides. inhale, reach. As the fingers go up, your heels are grounding down, creating length. Exhale, arms down. One more. Inhale. This time fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Hands coming towards the mat. Knees might bend a little bit. Hands might not actually reach the mat. Don't worry if they don't get there. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Hands can push into the shins. And then release, exhale, fold. Same again, inhale, lift. Chest is lengthening forwards. Lower back is flattening down. And then release. Last one. Inhale. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, walk the feet to the back of the mat. And then set the knees down into a modified plank. So once the knees are down, again, pelvis tucked, just a little bit, belly is strong, knuckles pressing down here. Coming into your first chaturanga. Don't worry about how far you lower. Focus on keeping your belly strong and your lower back supported. Exhale, start to bend the elbows. Coming forwards a bit in your chest. Again, you might only bend the elbows an inch or two. You might make it to 90-degree angle in the elbows. Then release all the way down onto your belly. So once you're down here, tops of the feet are pressing into the mat, so release your toes. Legs are strong. Cobra. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Inhale, halfway lift the chest. Just halfway up. Again, pulling with your back muscles rather than pushing too much with the arms. And then relax, drop back down. If that was good and you want a little more, slide your hands back another inch or so. Same thing, strong legs, push through the feet, squeeze the shoulders, inhale, lift. Elbows are leading you in here. Let the tips of your elbows pull back behind you. And then relax, exhale. Once more. When you're ready, strong legs, squeeze the shoulder blades back and down, inhale, lift. Palms might float this time with the feet staying down behind you. And relax. Tuck your toes under. On the knees or the toes, plank. Inhale, push up. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Take a couple breaths here. You might just need stillness in this posture, in which case stay exactly where you are. If you need a little bit more movement, your body's still waking up a bit, bend one knee, push into the opposite heel. And then shift to the other side. Just taking your time, getting a little bit of movement in the backs of the legs. Just do one or two on each side. And if you chose that bit of movement, just returning to stillness, back in downward facing dog. Then everybody look forwards. Inhale, step or jump the feet between the hands. Lift the chest halfway flat back. Exhale, fold. Coming to standing with a flat back. Inhale, lift the chest, then continue all the way up. Lifting the arms, lift your gaze. Exhale, arms by your sides. Surya Namaskara A, Sun Salutation A. Inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips, hands towards the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. First option, knees are down. Second option, knees can stay lifted. If that first lowering down was challenging, just set the knees to the mat. Chaturanga, when you're ready, exhale, start to bend the elbows. Again, the belly keeps lifting, hovering the body, however much the elbows bend. Inhale, first option is cobra. Hips are down, chest is lifted. Second option is upward facing dog with straight arms. If you're choosing up dog at any point, taps of the feet push down, knees and thighs want to float. That engagement of your legs again supports your lower back. When you're ready, downward facing dog, either pushing down through the knees or through the tops of the feet and rolling over your toes. So you have options throughout the class. Your first options will be a little bit easier. Your second and sometimes third options will be a little bit more challenging. Just choose whichever ones work for your body this morning. On your next inhale, look forwards, step or jump the feet between the hands, lift the chest halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift the chest, lengthen. Exhale, plant the palms, lunge your left foot to the back of the mat. So your left, if you need a reminder, make an L with your thumb and point the thumb and forefinger up, and whichever one makes an L, that's your left side. Left leg is back. Left knee can drop if you need a little help, or it can stay lifted. Twist. Left hand stays down. Right arm turns up towards the ceiling. Couple breaths. Reaching through the back heel. Grounding into your front heel. Take one more here. Then exhale, right hand comes back down to the mat. Finding a runner's lunge here. Your front leg is going to start to straighten out. This front knee starts to push back. Doesn't matter if the leg actually gets straight or not, and you're just trying to drive that back and a little bit of inflammation in your hamstring. If you've got blocks around you and you need a little bit extra help, you can pop your hands onto a block, maybe getting a little bit more in that front leg, but it's not necessary if you don't have a block around you. Take one more breath here, driving that knee back. And then release, bend your front knee, downward facing dog. Plant the palms, right foot steps back. Three-legged down dog, your right leg lifts up. So that same leg that was just forwards, that's the leg that's gonna lift here. Reach back through that right foot. Take a breath here. And then start to open your hip. Keep that floating leg straight. Start to spin your right hip up towards the ceiling. So as you lift this right leg, you're getting a little bit more length in the front right side of your body. Let the right foot lift a little bit higher. Take one more breath. Then close the hip, roll the right hip back down in line with the left. Into crescent lunge. Right foot, floating foot, steps forwards. So the same foot is forwards again. This time both arms lift to the ceiling. Back knee can be down if you need some support. When you're ready, chest and arms lift up. Taking your time. Take just one more breath here. Into a fold. On your next exhale, hands to the mat. Left foot comes up to meet the right. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Other side. Exhale, plant the palms, right leg lunges back. So the foot that was forwards for all of that, that's the foot that's going to go back now. Setting up your twist. When you're ready, first make sure that this front heel is grounded and it's directly underneath your knee. Some of you will step it forwards and have the heel lifted or have the heel back. Just pull the foot forwards a bit if that's the case. Then into your twist. Right hand stays down, left arm turns up this time. A few breaths. Again, reaching through the back heel, stabilizing this front leg, keeping it strong, letting your top shoulder roll back and open. One more. Downward facing dog. Just kidding, not downward facing dog. Exhale, left hand to the mat, runner's lunge. Front leg starts to straighten out. Again, grab your blocks if you need them. If you don't have them, it's not the end of the world. They're not necessary. They do help in some points, but in some postures, but they're not necessary to have a good practice. Take one more here. Wherever that leg is, push through the knee. And then release. Bend your front knee back into downward facing dog. Left leg steps back. Into three-legged down dog. Left leg lifts up. Again, taking a breath here. Reaching through that floating leg. Then, when you're ready, left hip starts to spin up and open. A couple things are happening here. So again, you've got this length happening in the front of your left side, but also watch if your shoulders start to tip. Keep reaching back through this left shoulder so that your right shoulder doesn't drop too low. Reach through the left so the chest is level. Reach a little higher through the floating leg. Kick a little stronger into the bottom leg. Take one more. Then close the hip. Left hip spins back down into your lunge. Left foot between the hands. Again, modify if needed with the back knee down. Ground into the legs. Lift the chest. Lift the arms. So your front knee is just on top of the ankle. You don't want it too far forwards, not too far back. The front knee is also a little bit out over your pinky toe. So if the knee collapses in, you've dropped into your hip joint here, your knee isn't tracking in a great position. Send the knee out a little bit. Your glute is switched on, your hip is supported, your knee is in a safer position, your foot is more stably grounded. Take one more there. Coming into a fold. Exhale, hands down, right foot up to meet the left. Inhale, flat back, lift the chest. back to plank. Exhale, plant the palms, step or jump the feet back. First option, downward facing dog. Second option, take a vinyasa. If you want the vinyasa, modify where needed. Exhale to chaturanga, keep the belly strong. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Exhale. Inhale, your right foot steps forwards between the hands. Back knee sets down onto the mat, keeping your back toes tucked under. Bring the hands up onto your hips. Front leg stays strong. Same thing that we just talked about. Don't let the knee collapse in. Send it out a little bit. Grip through all 10 toes. Inhale, left arm reaches up towards the ceiling. Exhale, left arm reaches over the body towards the right. So you're getting length through this left side here. Take another 2. Inhales are lifting up and the exhales are reaching through the top arm. Last one. And then inhale, come back up to the top, left hand onto your hip. Coming up into a full lunge. First option, hands are going to push down into your front thigh for a little bit of help. Second option, keep your hands on your hips. Front leg stays strong, chest stays up. Kick through your back heel to lift the back knee. And then when you're ready, turning into a straddle. Your back heel is going to spin in and down. Your front toes turn in so that now both of your toes are facing the left. Outer edges of your feet are pushing out into the mat. Take a deep breath. Then inhale, arms reach up, look up. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. First option, hands to your thighs. Second option, hands to your shins. Final option, hands to the mat. So the legs are still the same here, still pushing into the outer edges of your feet. You've got some engagement in your quads to help keep the legs straight. Your inhales here are lengthening your lower back, making sure you're not rounding in order to get your hands lower. If that's the case, just bring your hands up so you can create length. Take 1 or 2 more. Inhales again, lengthening the lower back. Exhales, folding, maybe a little bit further. Last one. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Now you're coming into a twist here. Your left hand, so that's the hand of your back foot at the moment. Left hand is going to set down just underneath the center of your chest. It can set onto a block or onto a book as well if you had your hands up on your thighs and you can't quite reach the mat. Grab a block or a book and set that underneath your hand. Right hand then comes onto your lower back, palm pressing down. Inhale, lift your chest, lengthening your spine. Exhale, twist. Your right shoulder is going to roll up towards the ceiling. First option, stay exactly where you are. Second option, if you want a little bit more, right arm reaches up as well. 2 more here. Inhales continuing to pull the chest away from the hips. Exhales continuing to roll this top shoulder back, whether the arm is up or down. Last one. Release. Right hand to the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift the chest. Exhale, hands to the hips. Inhale all the way up to standing. Front toes turn forwards. Spin onto the ball of your back foot, bending your front knee. From here, set the back knee down onto the mat again. Coming into a twist. Inhale, left arm reaches up once again. So that's the arm of your back leg. Exhale, hinge forwards a bit, leaning forwards in the chest, not collapsing your chest, just coming forwards through it. And then turn your chest to the right. Bring your left tricep to the outside of your right thigh. So I know that I'm facing the opposite direction at the moment, but you want to make sure that you are actually on the tricep and not just on your elbow. If your elbow is on the top of your leg, just use your other hand to kind of push yourself further over, getting a bit more arm on the leg. Once you're there, both palms touch at prayer. Your front leg again is still strong. You want this knee not collapsing in but driving out. Take another 3 here. Pushing through the arms so that your top shoulder is rolling up and back and your bottom shoulder is coming underneath you a bit. 1 more. And then release. Exhale, hands to the mat, downward facing dog. Right foot steps back. Options. First option, child's pose. If you need a little rest, knees down, hips back, relax for a couple breaths. Second option, a vinyasa. If you would like the vinyasa, coming forwards into plank first, exhale to chaturanga. Inhale to cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale back to downward facing dog. If you chose child's pose, Join back in down dog whenever you're ready. Remember, child's pose is always there for you, so if you need a little rest at any point, just take child's and join in whenever you're ready. You don't have me staring at you here, so you have complete freedom in your practice. Setting up the other side. When you're settled, left foot steps between the hands, right knee sets down behind you, and the hands come up onto your hips. Again, back toes are tucked under, front leg is still strong. Inhale, right arm lifts up. Exhale, right fingers reach over to the left. Now as the right arm goes across the body, notice if your hips shoot out underneath you to the right side. You want to keep your hips underneath the body and just change the upper body as much as you can. That's going to involve a little bit more engagement in the belly, a little bit more stability in your legs. That's all intended here. Take another 2 breaths. Lifting on the inhale, reach on the exhale. Last one. Back to the top. Inhale, lift up right hand onto your hip. Same 2 options. You're coming up into that full lunge. First option, hands to your thigh. Second option, hands to your hips. When you're ready, lift the chest, strong front leg, kick through your back heel to lift the back knee into a straddle. Back heel spins down, front toes turn in. Adjust your feet if you need to. When you're ready, you're pressing into the outer edges of the feet. Take the hands behind you this time, interlace your fingers. Inhale, reach back through the knuckles. See if you can straighten the arms. They might not get all the way there, that's okay. Squeeze the shoulder blades together to lift the chest. Exhale, fold, hinging at your hips. Now as you hinge forwards, make sure your shoulders don't collapse. Keep them back. Once you can't fold anymore, wherever that might happen, then the knuckles start to lift up away from your back, getting more and more opening in your chest. Deep breaths. Inhales, lengthen the lower back. Exhales, reach through the arms. Take 1 more. Then halfway up, inhale, lift the chest, pulling through the knuckles. Exhale, release the bind of the hands, bring the hands back down to the mat. Grab your block if you need it. You're setting up that twist. Right hand is directly under the center of your chest. Your left hand then comes up onto your lower back, palm pressing down. Lengthen first, drive down through the heels, inhale, lift your chest, then twist. Exhale, rotate your left shoulder up and back, getting that bit of turn. Again, first option, stay. Second option, left arm reaching up towards the ceiling. Deep breaths wherever you are. Inhales again are opening breaths. Exhales are deepening breaths. 1 or 2 more. When you've had enough there, release the left hand back down to the mat. Inhale, flat back, lift your chest. Exhale, hands to the hips, really strong legs. Inhale, lift the chest all the way up. And then coming back forwards again. Left toes turn to the front of the mat. Spin onto the ball of your back foot. Bend your front knee. Back knee sets down. Back into that final twist here. Inhale, right arm lifts up towards the ceiling. Hinge forwards, lean forwards in the upper body, then turn the chest to the left, right tricep to the outside of your left thigh. Again, if you need that little extra help, push yourself a little further over so you get more tricep on the outer thigh rather than elbow on the upper thigh. Once you're set with that front arm, palms to prayer. Front knee is driving out into the arm as much as the arm is pushing into the knee. Lift your chest, get a little bit of space between your belly and your thigh. You don't want to be too close to that leg. You want to be lifted up off of it so you have space to turn. Take another 3 breaths. Again, the twist is the priority. Work to turn your chest away from your hips. When you've had enough, downward facing dog. Take some more time if you want it. When you're ready, hands to the mat, left foot steps back. And then everybody moving through what might be your final vinyasa, probably will be your final vinyasa. Modify where you need to. Inhale to plank, knees can be up or down. Exhale to chaturanga, exhale, bend the elbows. Cobra or upward facing dog, really strong legs wherever you're at. Downward facing dog, exhale, pulling it back. All the way through into a seat. Inhale, step or jump up and through, having a seat on the mat, bringing the legs out in front of you. Now, If you were in the class last night, I did mention using a block or a book or a pillow. You can sit on those. So if you find that bringing the legs out in front causes your lower back to collapse and there's no way you're going to get a long spine here, just sit on something. You can even roll your mat up behind you and use that for a little bit of elevation. It just helps to give you a bit more length here. Both legs straight out in front of you, Paschimottanasana. Inhale, lift up, reach forwards. Exhale, fold, hinging at the hips. Your fold happens at the hip crease, not in the upper spine. Keep that open as you reach. Once you can't go any further, hands can come onto your shins, your ankles, or your feet, whatever's available. 3 deep breaths. Again, inhales open, exhales close. Last one. And then back up to the top. Inhale, lift your chest. Go ahead, bend your right knee up towards you. Right knee bends, and then drop that right knee out to the side. Your right foot is pushing into your left inner leg. Your left leg, strong left leg, is pushing back into your foot. Inhale, lift the chest, reach forwards, fold. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Hands, same thing, onto the shin, ankle, or foot. Now this connection between your foot and your leg wants to stay strong. Keep kicking that heel into your inner thigh so your hips stay grounded into the mat behind you. Just 2 more here. Last one. And then up to the top, inhale, lift the chest. Bring your right knee back up towards you. Put your right foot on the outside of your left thigh. Once you're there, you're twisting. First option, your left arm comes around the front of your right leg. Second option, your left tricep goes over the knee to the outside of the leg. Wherever your left arm is, take the right hand onto the mat behind you. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, twist. So both legs are still really powerful here. Your right foot is grounded into the mat. Your left heel is kicking forwards. Take another 2 or 3. Last one. And then release back to the center. Right foot comes back inside of the leg and then kicks forwards. Left knee bends up towards you and then drops out to the side. Once that left knee is out, your left foot pushes into your right inner leg. Your right leg is now strong and it's pulling back into the foot. Inhale, lift up, create that length. Keep the length and just break at the hip as you come forwards, hands to your right leg somewhere. Just 2 or 3 more. Keep this front leg strong. Kick through the heel so your ankle is flexed. Your quad is active toward keeping that leg straight. Last one. And then back up to the top. Lift the chest. Your left knee comes up. Your left foot sets on the outside of your right thigh. Strong legs again. You always want to set your base first, then create length, create some space, and then you can go deeper. So your base first, left foot is grounded, right leg is strong, left hip is also pulling down as well. Strong base, then length, lifting up through your chest. Then set the arms, right arm either around the leg or to the outside of it. Left hand onto the mat behind you. If you lost some of that length, reset. Inhale, lift, and then twist. Exhale, turn. Your left shoulder leading you in here. Let that left shoulder roll back. 3 more. Just going a little further on each breath. And then release back to the center. Bring that left foot back inside of your right leg. Draw the right knee up towards you. Now, if you are in dire need of another vinyasa, your final vinyasa, you're welcome to take one now and just come back in and join in when you've completed. If you're quite happy not having another vinyasa, just drop your knees out to the side, soles of the feet touch one another. Once the feet are together, you have a bit of freedom here to choose how far you want those feet away from you. Bringing your feet closer will work for people who have a bit more mobility in their hips, and that's going to get a bit more into your inner thighs. If you are missing a little bit of mobility, you've not quite opened the hips up enough yet, and you find that bringing them close causes you to drop back further, just move the feet a little further away. This is going to be a bit more in your outer hips and in your lower back. Wherever you are, inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, start to fold. Again, not rounding, but hinging at the hip crease. Maybe 5 deep breaths here. Those of you who have completed your vinyasa, you've probably made your way back into this position by now. Maybe 2 or 3 more. And then release, come back up to the top. Draw the knees up towards you and towards one another. And then you're coming down onto your back. So keep the knees with you and roll back and down onto the mat. Take a second here, maybe rock a little side to side if it feels good. And then preparing bridge pose. Release your knees, set the feet onto the mat. Feet just about hips width apart, maybe slightly wider. Heels just out of reach of your fingertips. Heels a little bit wider than your toes, just slightly pigeon-toed. Pressing into the feet, pressing into the hands. Inhale, lift your hips. Start to peel the hips up towards the ceiling. Pelvis tucks up a little bit, glutes are switched on, lower back is supported. Shoulder blades then start walking together underneath you. Your chest is open a bit further. First option, stay right there, pushing into the hands. Second option, interlace the fingers underneath you, reaching the knuckles to your heels. Keep the feet grounded. Grip through all 10 toes, push through the heels. Let the chest reach back. 2 more. Release the mind if you have it. Everybody separate your shoulder blades, bringing the upper back into the mat, and then roll down 1 vertebrae at a time. Middle back rolls down next, and the lower back unrolls last. Just take a second there. Let that settle in. And then draw the right knee into your chest, wrap your arms around the right leg. Release your left leg long. And then draw the left knee back up towards you. And release the right leg. And then go ahead and release the left leg so both legs go long to the mat. Now from here, again, this is another one you want to pay attention to your lefts and rights, so double check which hand makes an L, that's your left. Your left leg is going to move about 45 degrees out to the side of the mat, maybe a little shallower than 45 degrees. Your right ankle is then going to cross on top of your left ankle. Now you don't want that knee to be bent, and you don't want this hip to roll up off of the mat. So bring the hip back down and then kick through the right heel so the ankles are kind of hooked in together. Once you have those legs set, then you can reach the arms up overhead. Take a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. So left hand grabs your right wrist. From there, pull the right arm across to the left side. So both the hands and the feet are moving in the same direction. You're trying to get length through the right side of the body. So creating distance here from the right fingers, through the right shoulder, through the right ribs, through the right hip, the outside of the right leg, all the way down to your right heel. Release. Release the arms coming back to the center in the upper body, and then release the legs back to the center in the lower body. And you're just setting up the other side. Take the right leg out at an angle to the right side. Your left ankle crosses on top of it. Again, kick through that left heel. Reach the arms up. Grab your left wrist with the right hand. So right hand takes a hold of that left, and then pull the left arm across to the right. Again, the hands and the feet are moving in the same direction, working to create this curve in the left side of your body. And then come back to the center. Release the upper body and the lower body. Draw the knees up into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And then release the knees. Set the feet onto the mat, just like they were in bridge pose. Preparing your twists. Again, lefts and rights. Be aware. Shift your hips to the right side of the mat. Your hips move over a little bit. Then, 2 options for your twist. First option, keep the knees together. Second option, the right thigh crosses on top of your left thigh. So the hips move to the right, and it's the right leg coming on top of your left. Wherever you are with the legs, whether they're crossed or not, draw the knees up into your chest, and then take the knees across to the left. Once the knees are at the left, your gaze goes in the opposite direction over the right shoulder. Your inhale's still opening, still lengthening through your spine. Exhale's allowing a bit more rotation. And then coming back to the center. Unwind the legs, draw the knees into your chest. Setting up the other side. Feet down. Hips to the left. If you're crossing the legs, it's left on top of the right. Knees to the chest. Knees to the right. And then the gaze over your left. Back to the center, unwind, draw the knees in, and then preparing yourself for Shavasana. If you have a favorite shape, or if you have any props that you need, go ahead and grab those. Otherwise, you can release the legs, letting them go long to the mat. Arms can release by your sides, palms facing upwards. If there's a more comfortable position for your body, you're welcome to find it. Close the eyes. Shavasana. Release the fingers and the toes. Release the ankles and wrists. The knees and elbows. Let your hips sink down into the mat as the legs flop open away from one another. The shoulders melt down as your breath returns to normal. Your lips may slightly part as you release your jaw, letting the tongue come away from the roof of your mouth. Softening the space between the eyebrows. Softening the space behind the ears. Listening to any sounds that may be around you. Letting them wash over your body. Creating stillness. Watching as your thoughts come in and out through your mind. Letting them finish. Letting them pass. Without creating any attachments to them. Finding the space that exists inside your mind. Finding some peace. Slowly beginning to deepen your breath. Beginning to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circling the ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. Inhale to reach the arms overhead, reaching long through the fingers and through the toes. Exhale, draw the knees into the belly, wrap the arms around them, giving yourself one last big hug, rocking from side to side. Eventually winding up on the right hand side, using your right bicep as a pillow, remaining in Shavasana with your eyes closed. And when you're ready, press into your left palm, coming up to any comfortable seated position. Palms may press together at chest center if you choose. May you take only what is offered, take only what you need, and always give more than you take. Stay safe, stay kind, and stay aware. Thank you. Namaste.